How's everybody doing today? Good. First things first, we've got a few seats up here in the front row. I've taken 2 showers in the last 24 hours, so you're welcome to take these seats if you'd like. They are available to anyone who wants to take them. But welcome to the 20th Annual Petoskey Regional Chamber of Commerce State of the Community. And I'm Jeffrey Neal with Osborne Klein, for those of you that don't know me. And I'm honored once again for the opportunity to be a part of this wonderful event. We are excited to have 11 guest speakers who will cover multiple subjects in an interview-style program. And before we get started, I'd like to take some time to acknowledge a few dignitaries who are with us today. We have State Senator John DeMoose from the 37th District. State Representative Parker Fairburn from the 107th District. The Honorable Regina Gasco, the chairperson with the Little Traverse Bay Bands of Odawa Indians. Melanie Collinsworth is here on behalf of U.S. Congressman Jack Bergman. Tom Bratton is here on behalf of U.S. Senator Alyssa Slotkin. And Kelly Lively is here on behalf of U.S. Senator Gary Peters. Also joining us today are several city and county officials, too many to name, but please give them a round of applause. And thank you. It's an honor to have you all here today. So many faces that I recognize that I have a great deal of respect for. Events like this one are made possible by the incredible support of our sponsors, and we'd like to take this time to thank them for their investment in the Chamber and also our community. Our platinum sponsor for today's program is Blue Cross Blue Shield of Michigan, a longtime supporter of the Petoskey Chamber. And I want to take a minute to share a message because they could not be here with us today. February is Heart Health Month, and each February, Blue Cross partners with the American Heart Association to raise awareness of cardiovascular disease in hopes to save a life. Cardiovascular disease is still the #1 killer of women. It's important to continue to raise awareness, continue the research, and implement initiatives that can lower the statistic and even eliminate the impact on our lives. In recognition of February as Heart Health Month, Blue Cross would like to invite you and your members, or our members from the Chamber, to a free live webinar being offered exclusively to our Chamber and Association partners and their members. Please join Bailey Georgeson, Blue Cross Blue Shield of Michigan Wellbeing Health Coach, for this Living Heart Healthy presentation, where she'll discuss how to lower our risk of developing heart disease and outside factors that improve our overall heart health. This virtual well-being webinar will be on Monday, February 10th. That's Monday, February 10th at 10 a.m. You can learn more about the webinar by scanning the QR code that's up on the screen now with your phones. At Blue Cross Blue Shield of Michigan, their commitment to their customers is simple. They aspire to help you make the right choices to offer valuable coverage to help you get quality health care for you and those that you love. Find out more at bcbsm.com. And let's give them a round of applause. They've been a long-time supporter of this chamber. Seems like every event that they're helping us out and supporting us. We'd also like to thank our gold sponsor, Consumers Energy. And representing Consumers Energy is Carlin Smith. Carlin, if you please stand. I know people know who you are, but he hates the recognition, but he's such a great guy. In addition, we'd like to recognize our silver sponsors, OHM Advisors and Networks Northwest. Let's give them a round of applause as well. And if you remember last year, Crooked Tree was really going through a lot with some of the damage they had in the building, and they made it work for us. They've been an absolutely great partner over the years, and we love having our event in such a historical place here in Northern Michigan. So let's give them a round of applause as well. Quiet Moose, they've been providing our stage settings the last couple of years, and they have such nice furniture, and we really want to thank them for giving us some nice pieces. So thank you to Quiet Moose. Also, a special thank you to Roasts and Toast for providing the refreshments today, the coffee and some of the cookies and treats that you guys have had. And a big thank you to Dewan at Alpine Media. He's back there running the sound. For those that aren't here today with us, Dewan's awesome. Give him a huge round of applause. I was telling him before we got on stage, one of the best videographers I've ever seen. He's so talented. We love having him here. He's taking video today for people that can't be here. So thank you, Dewan, for doing that. To make sure that you're fully informed, we have once again compiled a booklet. So I have the first and only copy, I guess the hard copy of this digital booklet. It's really cool because each year, this is only my second year doing this, but they give me the copy ahead of time. And I love it because I get to go through this book. And it's so inspiring to see what's happening in our community. You can access this through a QR code that we have up on the screen as well. The reports are provided by various agencies and organizations throughout the community, and the booklet has become a good annual check-in just to take the temperature to see where we're at. This year's booklet contains over 35 reports. These reports were compiled by Emily Stuchel of the Petoskey Regional Chamber of Commerce. Thank you, Emily. I know how much work you put into this, and you work hard at all the events. Emily, we really appreciate everything you do for the Chamber. Thank you so much. Also, yeah, give her a round of applause. She deserves it. She's also one of the kindest souls that I've ever met. She's a really great woman. You can view today's agenda along with the reports by scanning the QR code that's up on the screen. Who's ready to get this show started? You guys feel pretty good about what's happening in our community? I feel pretty good. We have very special leading different organizations. So each year we're always so encouraged. We had the chance to read through it. We're so encouraged to see the reports that have been submitted. And each one showcases how truly impactful our community is. So speaking of impact, our chamber is relentless in the efforts to champion our businesses and our community. They are truly working every day for the future success of our region. So let's check in with Nikki for some of the key highlights from the chamber and takeaways from this year's contributors to the State of the Community Reports.
Thank you, Jeff.
You're welcome.
Give Jeff a big round of applause.
Thank you.
I want you to know that it is absolutely and truly an honor to be standing here for the 20th State of the Community Update for the Petoskey Chamber. We've done so much and we've come so far as a community, and it's wonderful that you are all here with us today. So when I look around the room, I get to see the people that make our community a community, because that's what we are. That's what we do. This afternoon, you are joined by business owners, thought leaders, our incredible workforce, change makers, our members, and so much more. And everybody together, when we gather, we get to reflect not just what we've done, where we've been, but we get to take a look at where are we going to go next? What are we going to do? Well, at the Chamber, we kind of take that next responsibility a little seriously. So I want to give you a quick look at our annual report of 2024. So we grew our membership to 762 businesses in 24 by adding 74 new members. That just reinforces the Chamber's strength as one of the largest chambers in the state of Michigan. We hosted 51 events that engaged nearly 2,800 attendees, from businesses to enjoy networking to leadership, development, education, and everything in between. Our emails keep our members informed. We have a very impressive 52% open rate, showing just how valuable our communications truly are. Our advocacy, oh, it works. Look at that. Okay. No! I got a yellow light.
Let's go.
There
we go.
There we go.
Now I have to take my voice down a lot. Our advocacy efforts, one of the things that the Chamber is actually the most proud of is really, truly tackling those critical issues like housing, workforce development, childcare, economic growth. These things matter, and we know that. So we continue to secure important budget wins where we can and influence those state policies that affect our businesses. I'm jinxed. All right, but beyond that, we also play a role in making sure that we're celebrating and elevating our businesses. So I love pointing out that we have 54 ribbon cutting. That's celebrating our businesses and our community. And a social media reach to help us of over 2 million. That shows the power that we all have as a community. You want to put it down? I'm just going to keep looking at him.
Keep going. Here we go. Now, so here's what I want to do. This, you know me, I like activities. I don't like standing still, clearly. So I want to kind of move away from the numbers for just a second. So grab me some space. I want to talk about something bigger than numbers. I want to talk about the fact that it's no secret that from a state and federal level, our state, our community, our country could be up for some changes. And those changes are things that can cause us uncertainty. And what I'm talking about is we don't know necessarily where funding is going to be. We don't necessarily know if the Earned Sick Time Act is going to be instituted on February 21st and what businesses will have to do. If minimum wage will have to be taken out of the tipped wage and all the things you've heard us promote and talk about so that you are informed. It's not taking a side, it's giving you the information. But here's the thing. Even with all of that, we know what we don't know. We know this is going to affect us, but we don't know what it's going to look like. So that's uncertainty. Nobody likes uncertainty. Uncertainty is scary. Unknown is hard. But what I want everybody to remember is, guess what? We've been here before in the unknown, in the uncertain, in we don't have a playbook necessarily for this as a business, as a community member. So I want you to kind of humor me a little bit, and I want you to raise your hand if in the last 5 years, you or your business has had to adapt to an unknown change. Okay, wait, now keep them up. If at any point, you can take it down if this is a no, but if at any point you had to lean on a fellow business, community leader, organization, or the chamber for support. Okay, now look around at all your hands in the air. If anything this tells you, it's that what? We don't survive age, we overcome it. That's what this community does. That's what we've always done. So regardless of when you wake up in the morning, no matter what the news says, remember, you, your business, your employees have gone through unknown before, and you were incredible because your community had your back. So lean on your community, lean on your chamber. And remember that uncertainty is not a roadblock. It is simply just an invitation for us all to step up again. And we can. We've done it, and we will continue to do it. So, I just believe in you all more than you possibly know, because you inspire our team. And our team is comprised of Lisa Hoyt, our membership director, Emily Stuchel, our fantastic events and program coordinator, Molly Voorhees, our business and communications manager. You inspire us so that we have your back. So thank you. Now, hopefully other people can touch the microphone and it works. Over the next hour, we're going to tackle those critical issues. We're going to talk about the things that we know matter to our community, that matter to our workforce, because we understand our community of more than just the businesses who succeed. It's the people who make the businesses succeed. So we're going to get to all the issues. We're going to talk education. We're going to talk governments, economy, tourism, healthcare, and so much more. And to do that, we're going to use leaders who are driving the change, who are leading the cause, and who are here to tell you more. What I'm going to remind you is these are quick, not as long-winded as I am, and there is going to be that wonderful resource that Jeff pointed out to, that booklet that you can go to learn more, but also you can contact the people, because we live in a small enough community, or if you've got a question, pick up the phone. They'll answer, and they'll tell you what you need to know. So, to get things started, I would love to invite our very first group of speakers up to the stage.
Well, hello. Thank you.
Good morning.
Hey. So, nonprofits are essential to the fabric of Northern Michigan, providing services that address vital community needs, from conflict resolution to mental health support. We'll hear from two outstanding organizations making a difference, Northern Community Mediation and Kirsten's Ride. So, Jane.
Okay.
Northern Community Mediation plays a crucial role in resolving disputes and fostering understanding in our community. With a team of skilled volunteer mediators and specialized training programs, they provide an invaluable resource for individuals and organizations seeking peaceful solutions. So joining us is Dr. Jay Millar, Executive Director, and we're going to talk a little bit more about your impactful work. So let's talk about how cases get referred to Northern Community Mediation. And if you could explain the role of court referrals, self-referrals, and other pathways.
Fine. Thanks a lot for inviting me to do this. Most of about 75% of our cases are ordered or referred by the courts. And the advantage of this from the court perspective is it helps relieve the court roster, but it also, mediation is a more civil way of resolving conflict. It's less expensive and it's less stressful. But I said 75% of the cases come from the courts. That leaves another 25%. 15% of those additional referrals are from police, governmental agencies, schools, whatever. What is interesting, though, Lisa, is that 10% of our cases are self-referrals. Several years ago, like 10, 15 years ago, we'd have 1 or 2 cases that were self-referrals. Now it's 10%. Why? Because of outreach that we've done, and also we get a reputation that, again, it's less stressful and less expensive to do mediation.
Fabulous. 75%, that's impressive for those court referrals. So what type of cases are most prevalent, common, and how do they impact the community?
The majority of the cases are, well, let me start with, we mediate everything from soup to nuts. The only thing we cannot mediate is innocence or guilt in a criminal case. So setting that aside, the majority of our cases are breach of contract, all the way from a small claims case as a breach of contract, all the way up to hundreds of thousands of dollars in general civil cases. So, having said that, then what comes next? Fortunately or unfortunately, however you want to look at it, divorce, domestic, parenting time types of cases are the next most common. But when you ask about the impact, again, I stress it's less stressful, it's less expensive, but the impact we often see is upon children. Children, really? Yeah. Child protection mediation cases, for example. We can mediate when parents have been abusive, but we work with, the mediators work with MDHHS and the parents to come up with a plan that they learn to be good parents. We can go from there all the way to termination of parental rights. The other thing that we do is a lot of school attendance mediation. I don't know if you're familiar with this, but you know it's a funny thing. If kids are in school, they learn more than if they aren't in school. And so we work with the schools and the older students to come up with a solution. How are you going to be in school? Parenting time. Parents, unfortunately, get divorced, and they have issues with trying to come up with a plan. We work with the parents. So we impact the school, the students tremendously. But everyone gets impacted. So does that kind of answer your question?
I think that does answer it. Impact pretty much across the board. So talking a little more about Northern Community Mediation, you have 43 volunteer mediators, and they can handle general civil cases, but they also have some specialized training. And could you talk a little bit about some of those special areas that they work in?
Yeah. To be a mediator in the state of Michigan, you have to take a 40-hour general civil mediation training. And that's required by law. You cannot go on the court roster unless you do that. So all of our mediators and all of the attorneys who are mediators go through this training. But it takes additional training to do divorce, domestic cases, to do special education, victim offender reconciliation programs. I mentioned special education. Anything, and why the specialized training? Mediators are there to facilitate a process. To be a mediator, you don't need a background as an attorney, as a psychologist or anything, but you need to be able to listen and then reframe what the people are saying so that you help guide them, to help guide the people that are in the mediation come up with their own solution. And guess what? When people come up with their own solution, they buy into it more than someone saying, you will do this. So that's where the impact is. And can I just, in ending, I have one point I want to make. May I do that?
Nikki, she's going way off
Okay.
script.
I'm going to go off script.
We knew this was going to happen, but go ahead, Jane.
I'm
boy.
old. I can do what I want. But I think all of us out here, and I'm going to speak on behalf of nonprofits, Kirsten's Ride, any of them, all of us pretty much have maybe one or two organizations we give significant financial support for. But then we have those that we value it, but I can only give $25. I can only give 10. Don't diminish those $10 and $25 donations. Nonprofits, it means a lot because for $25 is 100. So that's what I had to say.
All right. Thank you so much, Jane. Now we're going to jump over to talk a little bit about Kirsten's Ride, which is dedicated to saving lives through suicide prevention, education, as well as support by reaching people where they are and offering resources with dignity and respect. This organization continues to have a profound impact on Northern Michigan. We're honored to have Trooper Corey Hebner, who is also a board member, here to share a little bit more about the life-changing work. So Kirsten's Ride has a powerful mission. Can you talk a little bit about the programming and the organization and how it supports the community?
Yeah, absolutely. Very similar to what Nikki was saying earlier, right? We always have issues, problems in our community. And so Kirsten's Ride tries to make sure that we have different layers of awareness when it comes to mental health and suicidality. So it doesn't matter if it's just work groups, if it's creating awareness through their trail ride that they have every year, or if it's something as far as a standardized training. They even have every other year, they host a 300-person conference where local technicians or clinicians can get CEUs, and instead of going to Chicago or Indianapolis, they're actually able to do the training right here in Northern Michigan. And we have people from throughout the state. We actually had people attend the last conference that came from Indiana and Illinois. And so when you're offering those types of things here in Northern Michigan, it's a huge value, not just for the community, but for the clinicians.
Great to have that regional draw and to have that opportunity for that training as well. And Kirsten's Ride over the last several years has seen incredible growth. And I was wondering if you could talk a little bit about total outreach and the impact that it's had so far.
Yeah, it's been pretty overwhelming. We host the conference that runs every other year. You're probably talking 300 people that attend that, 35 to 40 different annual safe talk and assist trainings that they host. They probably work with 25 or 30 schools annually at doing yellow ribbon campaigns. Mm-hmm. And so as a state trooper, I'm one of 16 CSTs throughout the state. What we have here in Northern Michigan it's the envy of everybody else that I work with because they don't have a Kirsten's Ride in their community. So,
I know just in the chamber newsletters and information you see in the region, it seems like there are a number of trainings taking place, which is fabulous. Yeah. And I believe you said you've been involved with the organization roughly around 9 years. So you could talk a little bit about meaningful aspects of the work and the mission.
I really think, and that's the power of one, right? When you talk about the, setting up grieving meetings and different things in different communities, all of that aside, Kirsten's Ride, their greatest ability is their ability to just go down to that one person and find out why they went to a training, why they tried to get some information. Is it because they want to make a difference in their community, or is it they're seeking help? And so that you never know. And so to be able to dial it down to each individual person, how they're affected, why they're affected, and then walk back to see what they need, I think is their greatest asset. So.
And for those that don't know, can you just briefly talk about the background of why Kirsten's Ride was started?
Yeah, unfortunately, it was built out of tragedy. Lisa Clavier, for those of you that don't know, her daughter suicided. And so it's really amazing as a board member that's not a family member to watch how it's changed, not just them, the community, East Jordan, but all in northern Michigan because of what they've put forth. It really truly is amazing. It's a passion, and what they do, what they've become is just truly beautiful. So,
Well, thank you. And thank you both for all of the incredible work that you do in the communities and your impact. We're going to jump over to the other side of the stage with Nikki to look at healthcare.
We're playing with these things to see if they work.
Great job.
Role for us in ensuring the vitality and well-being in our community, whether that be from addressing talent shortages to expanding services in local healthcare and organizations, or just working tirelessly. Okay, which one do I choose now? Or just working tirelessly for us to be able to meet the needs of our residents. So we're going to explore a little bit more with McLaren Northern Michigan and the Health Department of Northwest Michigan. We're going to start with, I was going to say wherever the microphone is. No, just kidding. We're going to start with McLaren. So we know that McLaren stands as the healthcare leader in the region for all of us, delivering advanced medical services across northern Michigan. They've been recognized nationally for their excellence in heart care, nursing, and overall quality. And the hospital strives to enhance high access to high quality healthcare for our communities. So we are very pleased to welcome with us today Dr. John Kennedy, who is the Chief Medical Officer, to speak to McLaren's vision and current initiatives.
Thank you. You all know Gar Atchison. He sends his regrets. He's been out since Tuesday with what I think is the flu. And so this would have been a super spreader event if he came. So, yeah, well.
I like that. I like that. Okay.
He's a hard guy to hold down. So he came in last November. I actually came less than a year ago, both recruited to help with access. I think it's no secret that over the past 5 years, there's been a number of physicians, nurses who have exited for a variety of reasons. A lot of it had to do with COVID. So we have been mercilessly on the trail. In fact, this morning I was recruiting 2 doctors who have come up for a visit to replenish the physicians and the nurses who have left. Cardiology, orthopedic surgery, neurosurgery, interventional radiology, hospitalists, infectious disease, primary care. It's a big list. We have done very well. It's in our best interest too, because if we don't have those doctors, we have to use locums doctors who are very expensive. They're not us. They're not part of the team. They're renters. They're not owners. So we have had a significant impact in this past year. We're not done yet, but a lot of physicians have come, and there's probably 10, 15 who are on the way to replenish what we've lost.
I love that you call them the difference between renters and owners from a physician standpoint is a really great way to showcase community and McLaren's investment in community. So as McLaren is continuing to evolve and grow to meet the needs of the community, could you share maybe some of the successes and advancements recently that you're most proud of?
Sure. First thing, about a year ago, McLaren opened up a psychiatric unit. There had not been one for many years. It's in Sheboygan. It's a little bit away. That unit has really transformed what we can do. You've heard about folks, suicide, domestic abuse, et cetera. Mental illness is a huge issue. I'm a psychiatrist. I know that. And we had no clear inpatient place to go for folks who were suicidal. That unit has served over 450 patients in the last year and started from a census of about 3 or 4 to now 14. So we are serving a huge swath of the region to make that happen. A second thing we're doing is working with the nursing, the college and their nursing program to make sure that the nursing school has a clinical place for their nurses to train, and it's a great way for us to have a pipeline to make sure that we can replenish a lot of nurses who have left. So I think the main thing that we do, though, is that we provide access. And it is a daily topic about how we can serve this community. I mean, we are an employer. We're the largest employer in the region, but we are consumers as well. And you know, I came from Cincinnati. I was there 25 years. You couldn't hit a 9-iron and not break a hospital window in Cincinnati. There was too much health care, too much competition. We are in the exact opposite problem. And our duty and our mission is to make sure that we have enough access so that people can get care where they need it.
I'm glad you mentioned the psychiatric care that is available in Sheboygan, because I think a lot of people still don't know or are unaware that McLaren made that journey, because that is a huge piece of the holistic well-being of individuals. And the nursing collaboration just shows with NCMC that McLaren really wants to ensure that they're meeting the needs and the services and expectations of the residents. What else is going on in the local community that McLaren feels we're listening, we hear you, we're coming in?
Well, I think what's used to be called the Burns Building is the outpatient center. And we keep track of what the waiting list is and the wait time to get in to see an appointment. We, for example, neurology has a long wait list. Cardiothoracic surgery had a long wait list. So it guides us in terms of where do we go for recruitment, what's going on in the community so that people don't have to leave here to get the care that they need. In addition to that, we have what's called a Patient and Family Advisory Council, and any of you are welcome to join it. But it is a voice of the consumer, a voice of the community that we hold regular meetings for, because we get to understand where are the pain points, where are the needs. I mean, we have 1,100 employees, and when we're at the grocery store, you know, and you say, I'm from McLaren, you get to hear what people think. So. You know, so it's a second way that we learn, but the formal way is through our Patient and Family Advisory Committee.
Thank you so much. I think that's fantastic. We really appreciate you stepping into, Dr. Kennedy. That was, those are one of the things you don't say no to, and aren't you glad you came now? It's a good thing. And did not let a super spreader term out. All right, so the Health Department of Northwest Michigan serves as a vital resource for promoting everything from public health to providing essential services to our communities, immunization programs, health education, community outreach. Oh my gosh, your list is so long. But their work literally touches the lives of every single resident across this region. So we're joined by Shannon Klawinski, the newly appointed health officer, to discuss some of their impactful programs and achievements. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me. I greatly appreciate it.
Well, I mentioned that the health department offers a wide variety of programs and services. Could you highlight some of the most significant resources available to the community through the health department?
I'd be happy to. I touched the button. Okay. That was on me. That was not on you. First, I want to take a moment to talk about some of the services that we do offer, because it's a wide depth and breadth of services. And I think most of the things we do, people don't realize, because it's kind of under the radar. We like to be under the radar, by the way. But things that we have out there that you may not be aware of. We do sewer and septic inspections. If you're building a home, we want to be sure that the sewer and septic is being handled appropriately. We test your water quality. If you want to know if your drinking water is safe, we will test that. We inspect restaurants. So when you go out to dinner with friends, you are going to have a safe meal and nobody's going to get sick afterward. That's just in our environmental health section. Our community health section, we have things like oral health, where we are screening children for oral health. We have substance abuse prevention programs with both students and adults. And that's a whole nother section. Our family health section is probably what we're known for the most, and that's our immunizations, WIC, mothers, infants, and children, those kind of programs that we're handling there. And then our last section, which is two sections, forgive me. There's one that's fairly new. It's our school health section. And this came about because prior to the pandemic. I think a lot of schools were cutting budgets, and one of the things that was being cut was a nurse. And then suddenly everybody needed a nurse on staff. So we worked with the schools, and they said, hey, we really need somebody. We worked with them, and we've got school nurses in most of the schools now in northern Michigan. In addition to that, we are also putting mental health care providers in those schools. So that's been a really great resource. And the last piece I want to talk about really quick, we are very unique in that our health department is one of 2 in the state that has a dental clinic. Our forefathers saw that there was a need for dentists and hygienists in this area. I don't know if anybody is new and has tried to get a dental appointment. It's nearly impossible, right? Well, in addition to that, it's very difficult for Medicaid and Medicare patients to get a dental appointment because most dentists do not want to mess with the red tape and the paperwork that goes with that. So we opened clinics, and although, like McLaren, we recognize the backlog is long and we're doing everything we can to recruit more dentists and hygienists, we are serving that niche population. So, but all that to say, of all the things that we do, the one I really want to touch on today is Community Connections. And this is a program where we have worked with other health departments, our sister agencies, as we like to call them, basically serving, you all know the Michigan hand, knuckles up. So all of northern Michigan, not just here. If there is, somebody goes to the doctor and the doctor says, hey, do you have, access to care? Do you need food? Do you need housing? Do you need clothing? Do you need transportation? Whatever it is that they need, there's one phone number that they can call and get all of that. So that's our Community Connections program. And I think, yep, it's up on the screen there. There's an 800 number. You do not have to be a physician or a provider to make a recommendation. If you need something, you can call that number. If somebody you know needs something, you can call that number. And we will take that recommendation. And when we look at somebody's health, you're not just looking at maybe the physical signs. You're looking at, do they have the transportation to get there? These all affect your health. And so we are looking kind of at that holistic view. So Community Connections, like I said, anybody can make a recommendation, and we have access to all the resources, and if we don't have it, we will find a way to get it to them. And so it's easy, one-stop shop, one phone number, and we'll take care of it.
Thank you, Shannon. I think Community Connections in and of itself, being able to look at the whole person, the whole individual, and all the obstacles towards health and mental well-being is really a fantastic thing. And I think it should be recognized by the audience too. You were just listing programs that go on and on and on and cover so many different aspects of our community and those of us who live here. It's a huge, huge system that is serving our community quite well. And so what are some of the successes or milestones maybe that, aside from maybe Community Connections, that you think maybe everybody might not fully appreciate when they think of the health department?
Yeah, thank you. We actually, this is my favorite part because I get to brag on our staff. And we have an amazing staff. We are a regional health department, so we serve Antrim, Charlevoix, Otsego, and Emmett counties. But one of the things that I really, really want to touch on today, I'm so excited to share this with you. If there are any mothers out here, sisters, anybody that's gone through the process of raising children, we have a staff member who is certified in breastfeeding support. And she's the person that McLaren calls, Munson calls, everybody calls and they say, hey, we need help. We have a mother, it's not working. Could you please send her over? And we're really proud we have been recognized. We are one of 2 in the Midwest who have this. So we are very, very fortunate that she's here and she's with us. It is truly a passion, truly a calling for her. And so, it's really special that we have that right here in northern Michigan, and it's a phone call away. So if there's, of anybody that has a brand new baby and, their baby's having trouble or mom's having trouble or things just aren't working, we'll send her over. So please don't hesitate to call us on that. One other thing that I would really love to, did you put it up there? I can't see over here. I am way over here. Okay, good. That's our last slide. Okay. One of the other things I want to talk about is another staff member we have. We have what is the state just passed about a year and a half ago, a law that says all kindergartners need to be screened for oral health issues. And think about that for a second. If you have tooth pain or tooth decay, it's really, really hard to function every day. But little kids in schools, that's even more difficult. They don't know how to communicate that there's something wrong sometimes. So the state passed this new law where everybody has to do kindergarten oral health assessments. And ironically, they called us and they said, how do we do this? Because we've been doing this for 14 plus years. We've been way ahead of the curve. And we have staff that go around to all the schools, hearing and vision, that's been around for a long, long time. Now we're offering oral health services as well. And we've also incorporated silver diamond fluoride. I got the acronym right, SDF. And that's a new way to treat any cavities that you see in young children's teeth if there's not time to get to a dentist quickly. And it's something that they can just put on the tooth. Doesn't bother anybody. There's no drilling, nothing like that. It's like a liquid form. They put it on, it dries, and it protects that tooth from decaying anymore until they can get further treatment. So that's been really exciting. But to be the leader in the state, that's really incredible. And again, it's passion. I love talking to the woman who leads this program. She's absolutely amazing, and we're very fortunate to have her here.
I think that the exemplary part of that is to be a leader in the state. And we've already heard from our first group of interviewees, and we'll hear throughout that this is kind of a trend for our community. So thank you very much for the work that you do. When you're looking to the future, quickly, is there any initiative or area that you see as critical to advancing public health in Northwest Michigan?
I do. In fact, we were just talking before we got up here. He kind of stole my thunder on this one, but it's okay. It is an issue, and it's something that we're going to have to work together with. And that is access to care and a lack of providers. And it's not just the physicians. It's also dentists, registered hygienists, nurses, all of these things. I don't think it's a problem that any one of us can solve by ourselves. The health department can't do it alone. McLaren certainly can't do it alone. I think it takes, the college can't do it alone. It takes all of us coming together and saying, okay, how are we going to solve this? What part do each of us have in this puzzle? And let's work together to make this happen.
I think that's absolutely fantastic, because the message that you're saying is, while we know access to care is a hurdle, it's going to take everyone to fix it. So those of us that are trying to access care need to be patient and have a little grace and space in doing so, and understanding that it's an everyone problem. So thank you both. Thank you, Shannon. Thank you, Dr. Kennedy, for wonderful healthcare information. I'm going to turn it over now to Jeff to give us a state of education.
Thank you both so much. I don't think these two organizations get enough love over what they've done for our community over the past 5 years. So I think we need to think about that quite often, because we are so lucky to have the healthcare we have in this community, and we have such an incredible health department. So thank you both so much for everything you've done, really throughout a long time, but especially the last 5 years. We really do appreciate it. So I got some educators here with me today, and the Petoskey Public Schools are the heart of our community, serving students with dedication and a commitment to excellence, with a focus on fostering academic achievement, supporting extracurricular growth, and preparing students for a future of success. The district continues to inspire pride across the region. Today we welcome Superintendent Dr. Jeffrey Leslie of Petoskey and Petoskey Middle School Principal John Wilcox to discuss the exceptional work happening in our schools. So thank you, gentlemen, for joining us today. Dr. Leslie, we're going to start with you. Petoskey students have been achieving incredible successes. I know this I've got a daughter in the Petoskey School program myself. Could you highlight some recent achievements that stand out for you?
Sure. Thank you, Jeff. Preparing for this, the one thing that was pretty evident is we would not have the schools that we have without the partnerships that we have here in the community. There's just so many people just in this room that help us do what we're able to do. We're proud that U.S. News and World Report, just in the last year, they recognized all 6 of our schools. We've got the 4 elementary schools, the middle school, and the high school, so we're certainly proud of that. One entity that I really want to thank is, their local newspaper. I think Carly Graham is here, but the job that Carly does with covering everything that goes on in the schools, and then Drew, their sports reporter, I'm just really happy with their coverage of everything that we do. some of the achievements that you might know about, maybe you don't know about. I guess I'll start with athletics because there's a lot going on. I mean, we've really had an outstanding athletic season here over the course of the last 12 months. Our football team had the best season that they've had in the last 50 years, and just undefeated regular season, made a good run in the playoffs. And it was so nice seeing all of the people come support them. That stadium being so full on Friday nights, and it's just a really cool thing to see. Our girls volleyball team won their first district title in the last 18 years. Our boys tennis team had an amazing season. I went down with them to the state finals at Cranbrook, and they finished 4th in the state in Division III, behind Cranbrook, who has kids from 29 countries and 16 states. Detroit Country Day and Ann Arbor
Sure,
Green Hills.
sure.
So
we're not recruiting as heavily as they are, I would say.
No.
We're working on that, I guess.
And I've learned that they don't call it recruiting; they call it marketing.
Sure.
So, so I got educated on that. Our wrestling team just this past Wednesday night, they won the team district. That was the second time that they've done that in the last 18 years. We had 12 athletes commit to colleges to be college athletes, the other day, and then we've got another 4 that are going to do that here in the spring. And I want to thank our partnership with Jeff Smith and the Northern Michigan Sports Medicine people, because they provide our athletic trainer and our strength and conditioning coach. So I think a lot of the successes that we've been having, especially in the athletic field, as you look at our state-of-the-art weight room that we have, and then those other partnerships, I mean, they're really paying dividends for our kids. Some of the things that people may not know about that we have going on at the school in terms of academic achievements, we've got a program called Poetry Out Loud, and that was just within the last month. So they're at the high school. Each one of the high school classes, the kids will memorize poems, and then they'll compete within their class. So then we've got 19 English classes there at the high school. So those 19 winners get in front of the student body there in the auditorium. So it's a group kind of like this with their peers, and they recite poems, and we've got judges from the community. And it's really a cool thing to see that they've got the gumption to be able to get up on stage in front of their peers and be able to recite poems, and they do an amazing job. At least Thibault, she was our winner, so she'll go on to compete at the state finals on March 14th and 15th in Lansing, and then the winner of that competition will compete at the national finals in Washington, D.C. So that was a program that I'd never even knew existed until I came here to Petoskey. We've got a youth and government program at the middle school and at the high school. At some point, Senator DeMoose and Representative Fairbairn might get term limited out, so we've got to make sure that we've got people that are ready to.
Yeah,
to
Fairbairn's new. He's got a few years left.
Okay,
So.
but that'll be our current middle school students. So, so we've got 30 of our middle school students. They went down to Lansing, and they just go through the whole legislative process. And there again, that's a competition about who understands that process the best. The Petoskey High School, they've got 30 youth and government students, so they're getting ready for their competition down there in Lansing, and that's a program that's sponsored through the YMCA. Our sustainability club, they reached out to me before I had my first day on the job as the superintendent of Petoskey High School. They knew I was coming, and one of our students, Tommy Skinner, reached out to me before I'd even moved up here, said, Dr. Leslie, welcome to Petoskey. We're the sustainability club. We want solar panels. All right. We got solar panels now. So, thanks, Tommy Skinner was just an amazing young man. We got some great students there, and they did a tremendous job of fundraising, going out and helping raise the money. Liv Rollinger, and I think Liv might be here today, through the Groundwork Center. So her efforts, the Michigan Environmental Council was huge in making that happen. And, one of the benefits of what John and I get to do is, we feel pretty good about the future of the community and the country because we get to see these kids all the time. So when you hear some of these negative things on the news,
Sure.
Help is coming. I think we're going to be in good shape. The last program that I really want to highlight is our robotics program that goes from the elementary on up to the high school. I mean, now we've got 10 elementary robotics teams. We've got 2 middle school robotics teams, and they're about to have a third. And then, our high school robotics team, we had 29 kids last year, and we had some amazing seniors in that program that have gone off to college. Well, we've got 29 kids in there again right now. They just kind of keep reloading and replenishing. So one of my biggest challenges with that robotics team that robotics program is finding space. You know, because I met with them, you know, the last week, and they're just kind of busting at the seams. So if our biggest problem is we've got too many kids interested in robotics, then that's just something that, you know, Dr. Finley and I are gonna have to figure out. So, but that's some of the highlights of what we got.
Good
going
problems
on.
to have, I would say.
Amen.
And I think about, I'll go a little off the cuff here, but we're so lucky to have not only a great school district, but the Shoreham ISD. You know, I think about what my daughter's gone through just in her first few years of school with the STEM program, having all of the career tech classes that they offer in conjunction with not just your school district, but other schools in our area. And, you know, we're talking about kids flying planes at 16, and we're talking about creating linemen and welders and the future of what we need in this area. So I think it's really cool. Our district's really known for forward thinking, as you know. I mean, you've had to probably do a lot of forward thinking since you've moved up here. What are you most excited about for not only our district, but our students? What are you most excited about here?
Well, one of the things that we've really been focused on is on the physical and mental well-being of our students. Just the climate, just the reality of society nowadays. I mean, we were fortunate that the voters supported our safety and security bond in November of 2023. So that was an $18 million bond. So what the community is going to start seeing is when we start construction on those projects this summer. So, you know, this summer we're going to create secure vestibules at the middle school, at Ottawa Elementary School, Sheridan Elementary School, totally revamping our camera systems, our door access, our hardware, all of that. And then in the summer of 2026, we'll do the same thing at the high school, at Lincoln Elementary, at Central Elementary. You know, so there again, we wouldn't be able to do those things without the support of the voters. We've got a great partnership with the city of Petoskey. I know I saw Shane Horn here. You know, we've got 2 school resource officers who we couldn't live without. You know, I mean, Ben Carlson and Larry Donovan, I mean, they're exactly what you would want in a school resource officer. They've got, you know, great rapport with our students. They're great ambassadors for what's going on in our buildings. All of our students and staff have gone through the ALICE training, which is an options-based training in the event of an emergency. So one of the things that we really tried working on, you know, before winter break and now is letting the parents and the community know, you know, hey, here's what we've got going on. And that's one of the things where, you know, Carly Graham was so instrumental, is advertising that for us in the newspaper. So when all the schools under the leadership of our school resource officers did that training, you know, in the last month, I didn't get any negative feedback from parents. It was all, hey, we're glad that y'all are doing this. And, you know, I think everybody understands the why. You know, we've got a great partnership with the health department, so being able to get the school nurses there, you know, for our elementary schools. At the middle school and high school level, we've got a partnership with Alcona, so that allows us to have behavior health therapists at the schools. We've got 1 nurse right now that's combined between the middle school and the high school, and then that's about to be 2 nurses, so they'll each have their own. We're going to be able to move forward with some telehealth there. We've got 4 student support specialists. So some of those things is just, you know, the funding that we're getting from the state of Michigan and also from our enhancement millage monies. You know, so each elementary school has a student support specialist that can work with those kids when they're having a bad day and kind of work through that. Now we've got 4 therapy dogs, and we've got 2 more in training. So we'll have Ace and Hutch will be able to start with us at the beginning of next school year. You know, so we'll have a therapy dog at each one of the schools, and we've kind of seen firsthand the impact that those dogs have. I mean, we've got some amazing professionals working with the kids, but sometimes all they need to do is just go hug a dog for about 5 minutes, and all is good. So, you know, we've also, you know, been using our enhancement millage dollars to provide consistent early literacy phonics training for all of our elementary students. So, I mean, so beyond the physical and emotional well-being, you know, we're also hitting the curriculum and things of that nature. Samantha Wilson's one of our teachers at Ottawa Elementary School, and she is amazing, you know, and so all of our elementary teachers are getting that same consistent training with phonics. We've got 2 literacy coaches, and we've got 2 reading and math interventionists at the elementary level. So we're just, you know, determined to focus our resources on the individual needs of our students.
That's awesome. And, you know, Dr. Leslie, I can speak. I know a lot of young parents in the area. We're so impressed with you. We're so lucky to have you in our community. And we, I think there's been a lot of change, obviously, over the years, and we're very fortunate to have you. So thank you so much for moving up here and taking care of our kids. We really do appreciate it. So, yep, you're welcome. So for those of you that don't know, we've got kind of a local celebrity also up here on stage with us. Michigan Principal of the Year right here. You're welcome. He not only did he win Principal of the Year last year in the state of Michigan, but he was one of the finalists for Principal of the Year on a national level. And I think, look at these impressive people we have in our community. We're so lucky to have these people in our lives. I guess the first thing I can ask, what does this recognition mean to you, John? Other than being embarrassed a little bit from time to time.
Yeah, it definitely does that. People go into education because they want to make a difference in the lives of youth, and they want to serve their community. So this award and recognition is at least some validation that I've at least done that a little bit.
Sure.
But perhaps more validation is I look out here today, and I expected to see community leaders, and I expected to see parents of past and former students, but what I didn't expect to see was almost 10 former students that are in here. So not only does that make me feel old, but it also makes me realize that we're doing some things right in the public schools of Petoskey. So what we do is a complex job. When I meet with groups of students, I explain to them that schools are a place where we bring together people of different values, different beliefs, different socioeconomic statuses, different family structures, and we put them under one roof, and we say, let's all get along and learn how to read, write, and do math. And that might sound really simple, but it's not. It's a really complex job, and I think this recognition also speaks probably more so to the functionality, the cohesiveness of our entire school community. So definitely blessed to be a part of that. I feel like I've been lucky throughout my career to work with some pretty amazing people and to have worked for some pretty great leaders who have served as mentors to me. People like Jim Canine. Jim hired me a long time ago here, and I know there's probably several people that know Jim and his passion. Dr. Skolton, John Skolton, taught me a lot. He would close the door in my office and say, you're not going to do that again. So, okay. And now Dr. Leslie. It's been a good career where I've learned a lot from some pretty powerful and inspiring leaders. And I guess what I'm excited for with this award is the platform, the ability to really advocate for public K-12 education. Because so many times you hear people say, well, schools are the same as they've been 90 years ago, and I can tell you there's nothing further from the truth. There is so much growth and so many new initiatives and so many things that we are doing to support the whole child that we're really proud of. So definitely looking forward to advocating for public education.
Yep. No, I think you said something there. You've been lucky, right? And I'm a believer. I was told this a long time ago by somebody I love very dearly. But you create your own luck in life, and so I'm sure you've been lucky, but I'm sure you've created a lot of that luck yourself. So, Petoskey Middle School has received impressive state rankings. We look at reading and writing and how these kids are performing. What do you think sets it apart and contributes to that success, John? Other than you, what else? What else does that?
No, it's our staff. It's first and foremost our staff. When I got hired as the principal at the middle school, I met with Dan Taylor, who was the outgoing principal, and he told me, he said, you have a staff full of people who are driven to improve, and that definitely was the case then, and I've used that mindset when hiring people too, to make sure that we're hiring individuals who are driven to improve, whether it's their first year teaching or their 30th year teaching. And some of that is I've learned as a leader to sometimes you just don't say no. one of the pictures behind me is of the solar eclipse last year. And Elsa Martin, who's since retired, she came to me and she said, John, this is a really cool opportunity. And I need money to buy every single kid in the school solar eclipse glasses, or glasses that allow kids to look directly at the sun. And I was a little nervous about that. But what it created was this really cool, unforgettable opportunity that I hope students who are in the middle school at the time will remember that moving forward. So definitely the staff. I think also the consistency with structure and programming. We have what's called the full value agreement, and what people may not know is that started in Petoskey Middle School back in the mid-1980s, and it's been a mainstay of the middle school since the 80s, and I know that I don't want to be the one to screw it up. But so it grew out of a teacher's classroom. Those were his norms, and the full value agreement is work as a team, speak up, and be safe. And that covers pretty much everything. So that's what we expect. That's what we expect of students. That's what we expect of staff. That's what we expect of parents. That's what we expect of community members when they come in. So that really has been a really powerful tool that Camp Daggett has since adopted. It's become a district initiative, and other local school districts have also taken that and implemented that full value agreement in their building. So closely associated with that is our Adventure Ed program, and there's a picture of a ropes course. I don't know of any other school that has a high ropes course in their building. And we have that, and we utilize it at least 4 times a year. At the end of a quarter, we have a class that's called Full Value Seminar that kids can go through. And at the end of that quarter, we allow them to climb with their teacher. And it's a pretty powerful tool. The other thing I want to mention was, in terms of structure and programming, is that we are a middle school as opposed to a junior high. And there's a difference. A junior high, you really look at content area and you schedule everything around the content area. But a middle school, you look at the grade level and you schedule everything around the grade level. And within that grade level, we have 2 teams of teachers that we call pods. And that allows the teachers to really learn about the child and provide that child with support and find out what works. And it's really a team approach to support that whole child through, as we've all experienced, some of the hardest years of one's life are the middle school years. So that's definitely been a focus. And that's not easy. It would actually be easier to go to a junior high model than it would to maintain a middle school. So I appreciate Dr. Leslie's support and our board's support to maintain that middle school model. Continue to focus on the whole child. And Nikki, I'm glad you mentioned this at the beginning about the partnerships and how we're all in this together. You know, we rely on partnerships. In 2015, Natalie Kazaborski, who was then with the health department, came to me and she said, hey, what do you think about having behavioral health therapists in your building? And I thought, yeah, absolutely. So we worked together to write a grant, and that provided a behavioral health therapist in the middle school. Now that's grown to we have a behavioral health therapist at every level, at every building in our school district. A few years later, after that, Kathy Peterson came to me and she said, hey, kids are hungry. What do you think about putting a food bank in your building? And I said, sure. Again, I learned not to say no. And now that's grown into Northman Den Services, which services every single district in at least Charlevoix County, or Emmett County, and I think some in Charlevoix too. But Kathy's a pretty amazing person. And then we've also implemented a PBIS program, a positive behavior incentive program, and there's a picture of Larry Donovan up there, and we have this award system where people get tickets for doing the right thing, students get tickets for doing the right thing, and they put it in a bucket, and if their name's drawn, they get to pick things, and cookies with the cop. I wanted him to do donuts with Donovan, but he picked cookies with the cop. One cool thing about Larry, and Dr. Leslie mentioned that we're going to get a service dog in every building. Ace is the dog that's going to be coming to the middle school here in the spring. And Larry named Ace because it stands for adverse childhood experience. And that's Larry's dog. He's just letting us use it. But he named his dog Ace so that when he's having a conversation with a kid, that's a natural conversation starter that will allow him to talk to kids. So those are the kind of people that are in front of our kids, in front of our community, that we're really, really proud of. And, the other thing that's up here, I almost skipped it, was the extracurricular activities. Last count, we have close to 40 opportunities for students to be involved outside of the classroom. Everything from ping pong club to ski club to chess to robotics to all the sports. Just a lot of opportunities for students to get involved that we're proud of. So that was quite a bit of information about the middle school, and definitely I feel proud of that. But I know that I also know that every other principal of every other building in our district could be up here talking about their building and all the great things that are happening in their building. So definitely proud to be a part of this school system.
Thanks, John. We appreciate that. Yeah, you can set it down. It's just amazing. And we're going to welcome up our next speakers here in just a second and change out the speakers. But as we're transitioning, and thank you guys all so much, we can have you guys exit the stage as we welcome our next speakers. Thank you guys so much, first of all. And if you heard some of those speakers talk, you hear them talk about not just organizations and collaboration, but you hear them talk about individuals. You heard about Natalie Kazaborski and other individuals, people that I know in our community. If you have an idea and you feel like something can happen in our community, speak up, say something, approach somebody, because it takes one person to change our community. You hear these stories about one person welcome, please come. I know you don't want to interrupt. I appreciate it. That's very kind. But you can hear about one person really changing the culture of an organization with an idea. So these are the right people. Let's say something. As we welcome our next speakers up on stage, welcome everybody. It's good to see everyone. We're going to toss over to Lisa here to get us started with maybe the single most important issue in our community, which is housing.
Thank you, Jeff. It is quite the issue. So lack of affordable housing is one of the most pressing challenges facing Northern Michigan, impacting our workforce, our economy, our overall community well-being. Northwest Michigan Habitat for Humanity stands out as a leader in tackling this issue, employing innovative solutions and sustainable housing opportunities. So we talked earlier about leaders in the state. Well, here we have Habitat with the unique approach that sets them apart in the state and making a tangible difference. So joining us today, Sarah Ulrich, Executive Director, to share insights on their efforts and plans moving forward. So we'll jump right in, and many of you are probably familiar with the Meadowlands Project, which is definitely an exciting development, and would just like you to kind of give us a little overview. Let's talk about how many homes have been sold and how many are available for people.
Yeah, great. It was actually just a couple of years ago that I was on this stage announcing, launching this campaign to build more than 40 homes by 2025. And I don't know how it happened, but it's 2025. But I'm really happy to share that to date we've built 32 homes. We're currently constructing 7, and then the rest of those houses will kick off this summer. And so not only are we on track to meet our goal, but we're actually going to exceed it. So that's really cool and exciting. Yeah, thanks. Thank you. Yeah, so one of the cool things is because of this increased pace, we're literally finishing 1 to 2 homes a month, and we've been doing that for the last 12 plus months. So we've really seen the timeline it's taking for families that are ready to move into homeownership decrease. I would say from the application time to signing on the dotted line, we're looking at an average of only 3 months, which is fantastic. And when families are at the point of selecting a home, we now have more options than ever before. So I'd say typically there's 4 or more houses that they get to go tour and select from. So they get to look at different, house layouts and lots and even locations, because while the majority of the homes we have under construction are in the Meadowlands, we also have a few homes available. Like currently we have a house in Pelston, and we have another house just up the road from Meadowlands in the village of Atlanson. So I think this is just so awesome, because when people have more housing choice, what you're communicating is that, they are having that ability to decide where they live, and that means stronger homeowners in the future.
The housing choice certainly is impressive, knowing how our real estate market is and knowing, vacancy or lack of affordable homes or
Options,
just the
yeah.
rates. So options is definitely important. And obviously increasing housing availability. You have some very creative ways. You have some nice financial incentives and some programs that you're able to offer to these home buyers. So I know this is just like a little question, but I know that there's a lot of detail that you're going to have in there for us.
Yeah, I brought my notes to make sure I covered all the highlights. But so our program, we serve up to 120% of the area median income. And that number is based on the number of members you have in your household, and that's updated annually. But just to give you kind of a sense of what that looks like, a single person household can make up to $75,000 a year and qualify for a Habitat home. And like a household of 4 could make up to $108,000 and qualify for a Habitat home. I wanted to just share that our houses, they're sold at the appraised value, so buyers don't have to worry about those bidding wars that can happen that can really drive up housing costs. And our Meadowlands homes are coming in at appraisals in the $260,000 range, and so that's for a brand new 3-bedroom house. To make housing as affordable as possible, and when I say affordable, I mean that a household's monthly income, they wouldn't be spending any more than 30% of that towards housing costs. But we have to layer a lot of different programs and services like Lisa was referring to. And I want to call out special attention to a program that was funded by Emmett County, and that's being offered through Northwest Michigan Community Action Agency. And that's a really awesome opportunity that they're providing right now. Our home buyers have been qualifying for on average around $22,000 to go towards their down payment for their purchase. And that's being offered as a forgivable loan. So after they've lived in their home for 5 years, that turns into a grant. And so that's just a really amazing resource for people. And that is open to the general public. You don't have to be working with Habitat for that one. We also partner with a lot of banks to help us with financing these buyers. And so right now, if you're kind of at that 80% AMI or above, you could qualify for a mortgage with an interest as low as 4.75%. And if you're in the 80% AMI category or below, we try to send those buyers through a program called USDA RD Direct Loan Program. And that is an opportunity where households can be financed as low as 1% interest for a mortgage. So these are all just really important connections and resources to make this all work and be affordable. And then lastly, our program at Habitat also comes in kind of at the end once we've looked at all of those different resources, and we can also offer 0% interest gap financing. And so that's whatever remains between what that buyer's mortgage is going to be and what that appraised value is. Let me see what else I've got here. So I just wanted to mention that with all of those things combined, we're looking at getting people financed with a first mortgage as low as $190,000. And we actually have some special opportunities right now where that mortgage could be as low as $175,000. And I just wanted to take some time to say that we often find people are overlooking our program because they're just thinking like that I'm not going to qualify for that. That program's not for me. So I just really want to encourage anybody that's interested in exploring homeownership to please at least call and do just like a quick intake meeting to see what homeownership could look like for them. And for those households that may find out they're not quite ready to buy, we also offer credit repair workshops and, first-time home buyer classes, and those are offered through our partnership with Huntington Bank. And, we can put you in contact with a lot of different resources to help you get homeownership ready. And I'm going to pull a Jane Millar moment if I can.
Nikki.
Because I'm going to do what I want. I just want to say really quick, none of this work would be possible without the extreme generosity of our community members and our businesses and a $2.6 million grant that we received from the state and for federal programs like this USDA financing program I mentioned. So if I could just have a call to action, if you could please reach out to your legislators, to your local officials, and just let them know how important affordable housing is in our community, I'd really appreciate it.
Well, thank you so much. Last week at our Connecting Women in Business luncheon, we were talking about housing and the point that you made that some people may just overlook it and they don't know that it could be an option for them. So appreciate you mentioning that, and all of you are now informed with that knowledge to go out and share that with friends or family. So thank you again. We're gonna jump over here to Jeff and we're gonna talk tourism.
All right, thanks Lisa, appreciate it. Thank you, Sarah. You've made a huge impact on that organization. I can think about when you started that job years ago, just how far that organization's come. So Sarah and her team have done so much work. We really appreciate them in our community. Shifting to tourism, two of my favorite people that I know in the community, we know that tourism's a cornerstone in Northern Michigan's economy, bringing visitors from all over the world to experience our stunning landscapes, our vibrant culture, and unmatched hospitality. Today we'll explore how two key organizations are driving growth and making an impact on our community. We are joined by Jim Powell, Executive Director of the Petoskey Area Visitors Bureau, and Cassia Perpich, Executive Director of the Great Lakes Center for the Arts. Thank you both for joining me today. We really appreciate it. Jim, we're going to start with you. And Convention and Visitors Bureaus like Petoskey Area Visitors Bureau play a vital role in promoting our region, attracting visitors and enhancing the local economy. From marketing our destination to supporting local businesses, the Bureau ensures Northern Michigan remains a sought-after travel destination. So, Jim, we've seen record growth in room occupancy over the last year. Subwoofers are nice too, occasionally. What does this indicate about the strength of tourism in our region, the fact that we've seen this kind of growth?
Hey, Jeff, thank you very much for having me here today. Before I jump into that, which is a really good answer, again, we had a really good year last year, and you did a great job of setting it up for me. But, part of the time, whenever I introduce myself and say Visitors Bureau, it always takes a little bit of an explanation. And so just for a minute or so, I would love to just kind of give you a little bit of background on our organization. Convention and Visitor Bureau is such a weird kind of terminology. We really focus on us as a destination marketing organization, a DMO. And really our organization, we cover this entire region that wraps around Little Traverse Bay, from up at the Highlands all the way down to Boyne Mountain, Petoskey, Harbor Springs, Alanson, Bayview, Bay Harbor, that whole entire region. So, but getting back to your question, and like I said, last year we actually did set some records, which was pretty amazing. The interesting thing was we also saw a lot of resiliency in our tourism economy this past year. And the reason why I say that is when we were looking at 2024, we were pretty kind of thinking it wasn't going to be the greatest year. In fact, I think we were really predicting it was going to be more of a flat year with maybe a slight tick up. there are a lot of things going on. I mean, a lot of visitors are starting to return to their old travel patterns, hopping on planes. If I hear one more person going to Spain this past summer, I was going to shoot myself. But, in addition to that, we also came through a presidential election year. People tend to pull back a little bit on that. So again, we were being a little bit conservative in kind of what our thoughts were for this past year. And then we had the no snow last year. So a year ago, we were sitting here, a handful of inches of snow, and the daffodils were coming up in my yard in February. That was pretty crazy. But, we did make it through that winter. And so at the end of March, we were really off pace by about 7, 8, 9%. And, again, that's the thing about tourism. Those days are gone. We're not going to get them back. So how do we put our foot back on the pedal and make things happen to kind of finish the year on a high note? Fortunately, come April, we got a little bit of love from Mother Nature. Definitely showed up a little bit early in April and May. And by early June, we started to see that tide turn for us. Summer was outstanding. June, July, August were amazing, and September came in pretty well as well. End of September, we looked at the numbers again, and we were pretty much on par with the previous year. Again, and that's what we were just hoping for, was to come in flat to year over year. Ultimately, we wound up at the end of December coming in about 4.5% above our previous year in occupancy, which is a pretty amazing feat. Looking back at the numbers, I don't think we've seen a number like that. Obviously, we saw that bump come after COVID, but if you look back to our regular years, so that was pretty great news, and especially when you take into account what happened during the wintertime. Speaking of that, again, and I mentioned the word resiliency, and I just really want to call out the fact that, last winter, January, February, March, it could have been a lot worse. There are 43 plus ski areas across Michigan. I would have to guess that probably the most popular resorts were here in our region, the Highlands, Mountain, Nubs. And again, I give them a lot of credit for the work that they put in. They were making snow in February and March. They never make snow in February and March. So that really helped us end it on a high note. That resilience plus other things like year-round attractions that we have in this region have really helped us kind of bring that year-round visitor here and continue to maintain things and end years on high notes like this.
Yeah, and I think, we talked about it yesterday when we were getting ready for this event. Snowfall's been pretty good this year, I think. And, if you look outside, knock on some wood, please. But we're seeing more snowmobilers. We're seeing more skiers. And, with tourism being a major driver of our local economy, how does this high occupancy, people coming up to our area, how does it affect our retailers, our businesses, our people downtown? I think it's kind of a known thing, but what else should we be thinking about when we're seeing the growth and people coming up here?
Yeah, growth is good, but it's been very important for us and our organization to focus on growth during these off-peak periods. My whole objective here, again, I don't need to pour a lot more gasoline on summer, right? People love this place in the summertime. My focus has really been on how do we bring people up here during those off-peak periods? How do we level that playing field? Because that trickles down to the businesses, not only our members, but every business in this community that relies on that visitor economy to keep the engine running up here. And bringing that consistency means you're able to keep employees on. They're able to get their tips. They're able to get their wages. And again, it creates consistency. And so that's a really important thing for us. Now, of course, we can always dive into some of the lovely numbers that are out there. I hate doing numbers, but I figure it's probably a good opportunity to kind of to shout a little bit about a few of these things. And, the first one is really about economic impact. Our visitor economy generates about $1 billion in economic impact across both Emmett County and Charlevoix County. And that was a number that really surprised me. Unfortunately, we're able to get some of this data from the state through the MEDC, who does an annual research study and provides us this information. In addition to that economic impact, we're also seeing the impact on employment and jobs here. Over 12,000 jobs here across Emmett and Summit County are either directly or indirectly involved in tourism in our economy up here. And again, I think that's a pretty interesting number to look at. And then when you dig a little deeper into that, you see that about 23% of the jobs in Emmett County and about 40% of the jobs in Charlevoix County are connected to tourism. Again, there's a couple of ways to unpack that information, but again, I think we all know how important it is to this region. But it also shows that there is diversification in the region. Here in Emmett County, with that 25%, we know we have got other businesses that help keep us prosperous during those down periods or those off-peak periods. And same thing for Charlevoix County. I mean, that's a little bit higher. But again, we're not an island that is just, relying on tourism. We have an entire community here, as you see here today. Boy, what a tough act to follow with all of you and me up here yabbing about tourism. But, at the end of the day, this really kind of levels that playing field. One other item, or a couple other items to kind of maybe mention, our visitor economy generates about $115 million in local and state tax revenues. And what that means is that's taxes that we don't have to pay, that help provide relief, that we, the residents, really benefit from all of that $1 billion that are, imported into our community, which is pretty exciting. Last but not least, the one thing I really love to focus on here is the vibrancy of our business community. The fact that, tourism brings all these unique things to us. It allows smaller businesses to be successful because we're not just relying on the residents that are here. That visitor that comes in and the amount of money that they leave here, I know there's plenty of businesses in this community that without that, they might not be able to do what they're doing and they may not have that success. And as part of that, like I said earlier, our focus is on really leveling that off and figuring out how we can get more people here in the spring. Continue to fill out fall and really, really make a big deal about winter. We really are, in my opinion, we are really the only true four-season destination here in Michigan. There is never a bad time to come to our region and explore and experience all the wonderful things this region has to offer. A friend of mine from the tourism industry in my previous life always used to like to say, this is not ours. The Petoskey area is not ours, but it is ours to share. We've been blessed with being able to live here, raise our families here, start businesses, retire, whatever it may be. And again, our ability to welcome the world here and share this place is pretty exciting.
So last question would be, we're talking about businesses, right? We're talking about things that are happening in our community. What are some new properties and developments on the horizon that visitors should know about as they're planning their trips and coming up here to Northern Michigan?
Yeah, I think, it's been really interesting. I mean, there's not been a new lodging property built here in, I think, almost 5 years. I think 2019 when Courtyard opened up. And so it's been really exciting to see a few projects get kicked off here. There are 3 that are currently in the pipeline that'll be going online over the next 2 to 3 years. It'll probably add about 300 to 325 units of lodging to the region. That's about a 12% bump. I feel pretty good about that because that's going to be spread over 3 years. I definitely think that we'll be able to absorb that, into this community, into this region. Those 3 properties, I think you're probably very familiar with one that's over on 31 Corridor over there by Cormac's Deli. That's going up pretty quick. It's nice to see something going up in that area. That project, I think that's the Home 2 Suite. We think that will probably, I think they're originally shooting for this spring, but certainly I think that's probably going to be more like the fall or early winter. So we'll keep an eye on that one. That same developer is working on a project over in Bay Harbor. As you enter Bay Harbor, there's a Hyatt Place hotel that is planned for there. I believe that's about 100 rooms, 110 rooms at that one, or 110 units. That one will likely follow once the Home 2 Suite is completed, so we'll see how that goes. And then the third one is the Residence Inn over off Anderson Road, kind of across the parking lot from the Lowe's. And that's about 120 to 130 units in an extended stay property, which is also kind of unique for our region as well. So, that's great. It's going to be exciting to see that. But I would also add to that too that, over the last 3 years, we've seen major changes in ownership to a lot of our properties. There's like 9 properties that have changed ownership. That doesn't happen every day. And one of the good things, or one of the unique things about that ownership change, is the fact that these new owners are reinvesting into these properties. Last year, we had Mary Beth Bennett up here talking to you about the Terrace Inn. So exciting to see a young person take on a unique property like that, and excited to see where that goes. Another great example of this is kind of, certainly obviously the Stafford's portfolio selling and kind of what the future of that is going to be. But probably one of my favorite examples is the old Birchwood Inn over north of Harbor Springs. That property going through a rebirth as the Otis of Harbor Springs, this unique, kitschy, boutique hotel over there. If you've not been there, go over there. Say hi to Cameron, the GM over there. It is a very unique property. It's something that really helps keep our personality unique up here, and it offers something unique to a different segment. So, but that's kind of the recap on what's going on. So
Cool. Thanks, Jim. Really appreciate you giving us the information. And every time I walk in the chamber office, I love having conversations with you about what's going on. Then I can go to Lisa and give her word on the street. So she gets excited about that. Cassia, I've known you for quite some time. LLT class of 17, right?
The best class ever.
Right. We got 3 of us on stage right now.
Nikki,
Pretty impressive.
LLT
Not gonna
17.
lie. We don't want to brag or anything, but one of the best classes ever. So you took a job a couple of years ago here. It seems like 2 years ago, possibly.
Yes, I did.
Yep, new job at the Great Lakes Center for the Arts, and it's quickly become a cultural cornerstone of our region, as you know, offering world-class performances and diverse programming that enriches the lives of residents and visitors alike. As a destination for the arts, the center fosters both economic and community growth, and we have a few questions for you today about what's going on at the center. So the center has experienced significant growth and expanded its programming. Cassia, could you highlight some of the recent successes and how the center is kind of evolving from when they started?
Sure, Jeff. Thank you. Before I begin, though, I just want to show some love again to the chamber staff and volunteers. I know we've had some AV issues today, and I'm smiling to myself because we have a saying in the performing arts industry that you all know, right, which is the show must go on. And they are doing an incredible job, so please, a round of applause for them. So the Great Lakes Center for the Arts is only just about 6 years old, which is really incredible to me when I think about that. I often tell people it feels like 4 years when you take out COVID. So on any given day, there's this energy on the team. Some days it feels like we're brand new and still meeting people who have never heard of us. And other days we feel very established. We got this. We know we're doing great work. So it's a very unique time in the center's history. So I appreciate the question about successes and evolutions. And I'd like to combine those ideas and say that some recent evolutions we're undertaking are leading to some successes. And what we've been doing is this, pretty simple, just listening more. Listening and learning every day. Listening to our patrons who visit the center frequently and come to lots of shows. Listening to people who have yet to set foot in our beautiful venue. Understanding what kind of performing arts the community is interested in, what time they'd like to come to shows, what other enhancements would contribute to meaningful experiences, things like that, having lots of discussions with people, surveys. So let me tell you about just some of the small changes that we're making that I'm really proud of us and our team, because we want to be a performing arts center for our community, and I want you to know that we hear you when we're listening. So for example, we heard from folks through surveys that our community loves comedy. Of course, who doesn't? Who doesn't love to laugh? So hey, we're going to bring some more comedy in 2025. We heard from people that they'd like to enjoy a beverage in the theater. That's a hot button issue, believe it or not. It took years to make progress on that one, but just a couple of months ago, we introduced these kind of spill-proof cups, so people can now take beer, wine, soda, water, whatever you want into the theater and enjoy a beverage while you're watching some incredible music or film or whatever. We heard from folks that, hey, an 8 o'clock start time, man, that's way too late. Does this resonate across all age groups?
Depends on the crowd, I think.
And so, you know what? In 2025, some shows, we can't say that every show is going to be, under 8 o'clock, but many of them will be. We'll start at 7:30 or 7, or even be a matinee performance at 2 o'clock. So these are just little things. Just know that we're listening. I talk to people all the time. Come talk to me after this. Look for our surveys. But again, we're really proud to serve the community and support your exploration of the performing arts.
And Cassia, as a destination for the arts, the center has a unique economic and community impact. How has this contributed to the vitality of our region?
Vitality, that's a powerful word. I've got a microphone and a full house here, so I'm excited to, I really love exploring this with you all. So, okay, here's my answer to this question, Jeff. How does the Great Lakes Center for the Arts contribute to the vitality of our region? It's this. We are yet another meaningful contributor to what I consider to be a very deep-rooted, long-standing tradition of arts and culture in our community. I love talking about this because I honestly think it's so ingrained in our community DNA that we take it for granted at times, but really it's been around for such a long time. With respect to contemporary history, I think about 150 years ago, Bayview was founded, group of people who, I'm looking at Megan right here in the front row, who purposely came to our region and sought spiritual renewal specifically through art and humanities and nature. And it's this deep tradition that continues to this day. And since the founding of Bayview, we've had hundreds, if not thousands, of artists at this point who have journeyed to our region. They've been inspired by the beauty and bounty of the area. You see it reflected in their paintings and photographs, sculpture, fiber art, so many types of mediums. In this small town of 6,000, we have at least, to my knowledge, 3 community choral groups, a chamber orchestra, a civic theater that is turning 80, I think, next year or so. The Crooked Tree Art Center right here celebrated its 50th anniversary. Bliss Fest is up there. I mean, the list goes on and on. It's incredible. And because nothing's wrong with it, we don't have a shortage or an excess, there's not a problem to solve with our robust arts and culture scene. Again, I think sometimes we take it for granted. So I would say the Great Lakes Center for the Arts is proud to be probably the newest addition to this incredible family to carry forward this tradition in our community.
Great answer, Cassia. And I think you're right?
Thank you.
I remember the first time we had lunch at Cormac's when you changed jobs, we were talking about how lucky we are to live in such a culturally rich area. And, my wife and I moved back from San Diego, and a big part of moving back to Petoskey was this was a great place to raise a child in an area where they could be enriched by culture and art. And it's a very special part of our community. So, Cassia, I really love what you had to say about that. Thinking about the future, right? Because I'm sure you're always thinking about the future. What are some highlights on the programming that we should look forward to coming up this year?
Good question. Well, officially, we're going to announce our summer and fall season on March 1st. So keep your eyes and ears peeled for that. I'm really excited about the artists we're bringing in and the different genres of performing arts. So March 1st, full lineup. Although our marketing director, Alexandra, she's right over there. So maybe if you sweet talk her, she'll give you a sneak peek of some names.
She's like,
but
no.
Alex did give me permission to share one thing today with you all. So last summer, over Labor Day weekend, many of you might recall the center reintroduced musical theater to our repertoire. We self-produced and directed our version of the hit musical Mamma Mia. We played it over Labor Day weekend, 4 sold-out shows. It was incredible, just one of the most joyful experiences I've had at the center so far. It was such a great time that we're doing it again. We're going to have another musical over Labor Day, and that will be, drum roll, Jersey Boys. So I'm excited about that.
Did Christian have any say in this? Jersey Boys.
Christian
I feel like something's going on here.
Director. I know many of you know Christian Smith in the room. He's our original Jersey boy. He's thrilled.
Christian, I'm thinking.
Thank you, Jeff.
You're welcome. I'm so proud of you, Cassia. It's great to see the growth you've had, and I've been to a couple shows at the center. It's a really special place. We are so lucky. There are only a few places like this in our entire country. So I feel really blessed to have this in our community. So without further ado, thank you guys so much. We're going to give it back to Nikki here for our final group of interviews for a more serious topic, government and economy.
Can you pass them the extra microphone, please? Because the show must go on. And quickly, I see people fidgeting. So Stinks when you're in the middle row, doesn't it? All right, welcome to theater. So we're going to wrap this up, and we're going to talk to you. So I'm kind of fangirling a little bit with all the ladies on the stage, but these two ladies, Peyton Hines of the Northern Lakes Economic Alliance and Janie McNabb of our wonderful Networks Northwest. These two ladies I get to work with in the opposite sphere of the things that I do behind the scenes all the time within our communities, and you have no idea how much action and impact these two organizations have on our communities as a whole. So I'm very, very happy because they are star leaders in their organizations, and both very new, and that's where it's even more important to kind of point out the work that you've been doing. So we're going to jump right into kind of talking about what both organizations do, because I think, as Jim mentioned with the Visitors Bureau, sometimes there is such a disconnect, and it's easy. We all kind of flow in and out of each other as organizations in the economic sphere, so it gets confusing as who does talent, who does community, who does, economic development. Well, the secret is we all do, but some do it in a much different way. So we're going to start with you, Peyton. So you're president of the NLEA, and you offer a wide variety of services to businesses in our region. Can you talk a little bit about kind of what are some of the most impactful ways you support small businesses?
Sure. Thank you, Nikki. How's my mic? Good?
You're good.
All right. So as an economic development organization serving this region, it is our job to foster greater economic vitality for the region. And one of the best ways that we can do that is by supporting our existing businesses here and helping them to be successful and to grow. So we work in a lot of different partnerships with different organizations across the region. We are also working local, state, national, trying to make connections for our businesses, but we offer a variety of services, both direct and indirect, to our businesses, ranging from, for brick and mortar businesses, site selection services. We provide data, business intelligence to help inform our businesses, just a variety of services, and working closely with our local units of government and our businesses to help cultivate new economic development tools and incentives to make it easier for our businesses to be able to expand, to renovate their existing space. But I think one of the most impactful things that we do is really helping businesses secure additional resources to overcome a barrier that they're experiencing or to take advantage of an opportunity. And so we do that in a few different ways. On the grant side, we're helping businesses write, package, administer grants from the local, state, and federal levels, also in the private sector side. And we're also working closely with businesses with loans. So we serve as a technical assistance provider on a couple of different loan programs here in our region. One just recent kind of success or example of working with a local business here in the area, we were really proud to work very closely with the Michigan Economic Development Corporation and Astor Brands in helping the company to secure a sizable grant that is leading to a much larger investment here in Emmett County. They're renovating a vacant industrial site. They're adding jobs. It's a really impactful investment that the company is making, and we were really proud to support that.
And that's a huge investment for knowing that we're having our businesses stay in our community, stay in Emmett County, not need to leave. So your support provides that. You also just went through an incredibly arduous strategic planning process. What did you take away from that as far as, where are we as a community and where does NLEA fit in?
Thank you. So 2024, we finished a 6-month strategic planning process. Yes, it was a lot of work. I'm glad that it's over. Very excited to get started with implementation. And thanks to the support of the Petoskey Harbor Springs Area Community Foundation, Networks Northwest, and the Sheboygan County Community Foundation, we were able to do a lot more community engagement as part of this process and really make sure that we're hearing from community and business leaders and they're guiding the strategic direction of our organization moving forward. So we're really proud proud of that element in the planning process. But in that process, we asked about major obstacles and key opportunities for creating a more economic, resilient area. And I won't go through all of the obstacles and opportunities because I know we don't have time for that today. But I think they're somewhere up on that slide. I can't see it. But a couple that I'll just point out. A major obstacle, this is one that actually keeps me up at night thinking about this, but it's our population imbalance for the region. And while it's not necessarily unique to us, the nation is experiencing this, it is a bit exacerbated in ways for our area. And by population imbalance, I mean we're growing overall as a region, but that growth is happening in our older age groups while our youth and our younger populations have been declining. So that's putting a lot of different pressures on the economy, on our employers. So that's a major thing that we're thinking about and focused on. Another key obstacle that came up a lot, and this was both on the public and private sector side, was the concern about limited infrastructure, particularly water and sewer, and lack of available and ready for development sites, particularly industrial space across our region, and that preventing a lot of opportunities for strategic business growth and for supporting additional workforce housing development, both of which we need. It's not all bad, lots of opportunities. I'll save that for another talk.
There are lots of opportunities, though, so it leads into it transitions into our last question for you. When we're looking at your priorities, they have to be aligning with the opportunities that you were able to pull together from the strategic plan. So where do you see your priorities and the opportunities aligning for economic growth in Emmett County and the region?
Yeah, so based on what we heard from community leaders and business leaders in the preceding 6 months, we identified as an organization 4 core objectives that we're going to be focused on over the next 3 years. The first objective is to collaboratively lead a much more comprehensive and cohesive economic development strategy for the region with our public and our private sector partners. And doing that through more data-driven initiatives, policy initiatives with our policy partners, and by uplifting more solution-focused conversations. We just launched what we're calling Catalyst Conversations, a new event series that is focused on really highlighting the greatest needs and opportunities and having more of those solution-focused conversations. Our first event is happening next week in Indian River, and that's going to be focused on how do we better cultivate the outdoor recreation industry. So we're excited to launch that. We hope you will join us, if not for the Indian River event next week, for one of our other events that we're hosting across the region. A second major objective of ours is to really become much more strategic in how we are retaining, growing, and attracting businesses across our 4-county area. And I am so excited that we are bringing on a new director of business growth who's really going to champion that effort going forward. Our third major objective is responding to those concerns around infrastructure and development. We as an organization need to be much more proactive and aggressive about pursuing additional resources that are going to help advance those critical infrastructure projects and prepare our community for more of these transformational developments that we need to better support our employers and our workforce. And the fourth and final objective, we can't just grow our businesses and create more jobs. It turns out we have to have people to fill those jobs. So really enhancing our efforts around talent retention and attraction. And we're super excited to be working with Networks Northwest and other partners. We just found out recently that we collaboratively received a grant from the Michigan Economic Development Corporation to carry forward some of these talent attraction and retention initiatives. So a lot more to come on that this year, but really excited about launching some of these new initiatives.
Thank you, Peyton. And you kind of just teed Janie up perfectly, leading into that talent conversation. I just want to say one more time, the work that NLEA is doing and your true embracing of NLEA and your Emmett County and all the counties that you represent in a very short amount of time has been absolutely fantastic. You have a great team and you're leading so well, and we are quite lucky to have partners like NLEA and Networks Northwest in our community. So thank you very much. The stage is set for you, Janie. So first, I'm just going to give kind of a little bit of prelude because I'm not sure everybody in the audience knows what Networks Northwest
Probably
does.
not.
Probably not. But they're extremely important, and they do more than you realize in your own backyard. So basically, think of them as the engine for talent development, business support, and community growth across 10 counties. So that's a big space. And partnerships with the Chamber and with EDOs across all 10 counties. I mean, you have a lot of us to keep in line, so I'm sorry.
Like herding cats.
So, but you have significant impacts here in Emmett County. So let's kick it right off with workforce development. We know this is probably the most pressing issue for our area because it's actually, when somebody says housing is the most pressing issue, what you don't understand is you can't develop the workforce to move into the area if they don't have it's a circle. The two are tied together. If they can't live here, they can't learn here. If they can't learn here, they'll leave here. So, what innovative strategies or programs has Networks Northwest developed to kind of bridge the talent gap that we are seeing?
Sure. Well, thank you for having me here. Thrilled to be here. And Networks Northwest is kind of the headquarters for all these different programs that cover this talent, business, and community aspect of our economy. And as you can see, we believe they're interrelated. Talent wants community, community needs business, business needs talent. So we have more than 40 different programs that deliver services for those three customer bases. A little more than half of them are workforce development programs, and those are run through our nonprofit arm, Northwest Michigan Works. Now, in our workforce programs, we are demand-driven and solutions-based. So that means that employers create the demand for the workforce, which is the supply. So our first effort is to really get to know the employers in the region and understand their needs now and in the future. And that informs everything else we do. So our relationships with you as job providers is our strategic approach to bridging that talent gap. And we have seen a shift in workforce programming that goes from the individual getting trained and then hoping to get a job to starting with the business who invests in their workforce, and we are able to facilitate that and support that with grants and programming. So that's the kind of programming that we focus on and the strategic approach we take. Some specific programs that I'd like to highlight are our apprenticeships. So we have a variety of apprenticeship programming. Again, that starts with the business, and we will work with you to customize a training plan that combines classroom training, can be with our community colleges, other training providers, and on-the-job mentoring. Provides a structure and a framework. We can apprentice almost any occupation out there. And we just celebrated last year developing our 100th occupation for apprenticeship in the region. And we've trained more than 400 apprentices. So it is a very promising model, and I believe the future of workforce development really is employer-based. To invest in the workforce and upskill, kind of grow your own. And apprenticeships is one great way to do that.
I could not agree more, and I think that the efforts that you're putting in place for apprenticeships really truly showcase just even when you take it to a national level. So through the U.S. Chamber and other organizations that are doing massive workforce development, everybody is focusing on apprenticeships and utilizing the model of its business-led. Really truly means that you cultivate your own thriving workforce right here in your own backyard, and we know we've got an incredible workforce because we heard about it in our education too.
Yeah.
So when you're looking at the coverage area, are there unique resources specific to either county? I mean, what are we looking at for Emmett County, and who particularly maybe should people look to, especially if we're talking to certain programming?
Well, we have in our audience today, Chuck Hayes is our business services representative for the area, so give him a call. But in Emmett County, I do want to emphasize something you may not know about is that our youth workforce programs. Now, some of this is, we use partnerships in everything we do, but we have a youth-based workforce program called Jobs for Michigan's Graduates, where we served 200 youth in Emmett County last year. Now, that program would not be possible without our partner, Shar M Intermediate School District. Where are you? You're here. In the corner hiding. So thank you. It is a program to develop the future workforce. It is teaching them soft skills. Every business I've ever talked to, when I ask what their needs are, the first thing you say to me is, we want people who will show up on time, communicate well, be accountable, work well in a team. That's what we focus on, working one-on-one with these youth. We get them into work experience opportunities, so they get to practice, to know what it's like to really be in the workplace and train up to be a good workforce for you in the future. And we offer them leadership opportunities. So that's a really exciting and productive program here in Emmett County.
All right, I'm going to give you the final question of the afternoon. No pressure. I want to say that we want to leave on a high note. So I know that Networks Northwest has been doing some real innovative work lately and kind of looking at your horizon line, where you want to see yourself. What is that innovative next tool that you have for business and economy that Networks Northwest is most excited about?
I don't know how sexy it is. A lot of our work is under the radar. So a couple things come to mind. One, that grant that Peyton mentioned, we in our community development department, which works a lot with data, works with local governments, are going to be launching a study of the remote workforce in the region. So we know that Northwest Michigan was really a draw during the pandemic for people who could work anywhere because they could work remotely. But we don't know much about that. How many people came here? Who are they working for? Did they bring a spouse that filled a local job that was going unfilled? Did they bring kids that they enrolled in our schools? How are they integrating into the community? We need data on that, so we can use that to inform our workforce development, our talent attraction efforts. So we're going to be doing that. Another project we're launching, again in our community development department, is to inform some of the economic development efforts by mapping infrastructure. Right now, Peyton mentioned how important having water, sewer, et cetera, is to development, including housing, but it's hard to pinpoint where it is. There's no centralized location to know where the boundaries are of infrastructure that's needed. We're going to create that, and we're going to deliver that to our organizations like NLEA and the Petoskey Chamber.
Sorry, I think that's really sexy. I'm so excited. You guys know I'm a nerd. I'm like, no, really, truthfully though, we've heard these conversations so long, and they're so open to, what about this? We need this, we don't need this, but it all comes down to, you just landed us on the end with great data that we need to make informed decisions going forward to drive our entire community. Because when we know what our remote workers are doing and why they're here, and if they have a spouse that needs a job or wants to start a new business, or maybe wants to go to the Great Lakes Center for the Arts, or maybe has children in the community, we become more informed to be able to utilize them as part of the community, bring them in with us. And when we know where our water and infrastructure is, we know where we can grow. And that's what we need most. So thank you all. I'm going to give it back to Jeff. Thank you both.
It's been a powerful program. You know, I look at people in the room, and I know this is a long program, but there's a lot of really good information. I love it because it brings the most pressing conversations in our community, the most insightful leaders. I was so impressed with everybody on stage today, and it brings it to the forefront. You know, we're thinking about it, we're talking about it. The insights we've heard today should be a catalyst for action. You know, I talked about if you think of something, let's bring it up, let's talk about it. Whether it's engaging in advocacy or investing in your workforce or finding new ways to collaborate, each of us plays a role in moving this community forward. And as a reminder, beyond the speakers you heard today, there are over 35 reports in this State of the Community. So gather all the information you can. Knowledge is power. I want to thank Lisa and Nikki, one, for having me today. I really love doing this event. And thank you to all of our speakers this afternoon. Thank you, Emily, for running things on the back end and putting the event together. Molly, I mean, you're a huge part of the chamber. Without you, we wouldn't be able to do a lot of these things. So thank you to Molly. We also want to thank our sponsors, Blue Cross Blue Shield of Michigan, longtime sponsor, Consumers Energy. Carlin, we appreciate you guys sponsoring always. OHM Advisors, Networks Northwest. We really appreciate your continued support on the State of the Community event. We want to thank Crooked Tree Arts Center for being our event host, The Quiet Moose for making the stage look great, Roast and Toast Coffee for keeping us caffeinated this afternoon, and Alpine Media. Thank you, Duan, so much for helping us navigate today, and also for the recording of this session for people that couldn't be here today. And we want to thank you guys all for being here. I look at this room, I see a lot of leaders in this room. I see very intelligent, powerful, amazing human beings who make this area such a special place to live. So don't forget to scan the QR code before you leave and download the State of the Community. It's been snowing big flakes. I've been looking through these windows. There's been some big flakes out there. Don't know if it's still going on, but get out there, have fun, leave someone better than when you found them, and I hope you guys have a great rest of your week. Thank you so much.